Y News with Angelo Castro III, William Theo, and Darlene Basingan.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby declare Marawi City liberated.
Good evening. The Armed Forces of the Philippines begins to pull out some of its men from Marawi City following its liberation from terrorist influence. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Sir, the 1st Infantry Battalion, 14 officers, 274 enlisted personnel, 1 killed in action, 13 wounded, 3 still in the hospital. Complete, all accounted for, sir.
The Philippine Army's 1st Infantry Always 1st Battalion bids farewell after its almost 5 months of deployment in Marawi City. Members of the Army unit arrived in the strife-torn city on June 1st as the 1st Battalion sent to the area since the crisis broke out. They are also the first to leave following the city's liberation from the terrorist influence. The leader of the Always 1st Battalion admits the Marawi City crisis is the most difficult battle they faced.
Yung kalaban natin very smart, no? Yung area, lalo na yung area, it's an urban terrain. Ang first IB po, nasanay po kami doon sa Sierra Madre. Bulubundukin po itong natin, yung area na yon. Ngayon ito puro building, yung naka-cover. Tapos ito pa mga bahay pa nga, kaya very careful kami.
The Army Battalion was pulled out to prepare for their next assignment, the Association of Southeast Asian Nation or ASEAN Summit.
I am very sad because we will be losing a good partner, a good buddy. And I'm also very happy because I know yung pag-alis ng unit na to ng 1st Infantry Battalion symbolizes na the conflict, the siege is almost over.
A battalion of the Philippine Marines will also leave tomorrow as part of the gradual reduction of the military's presence in Marawi City.
Yung 6 na batalyon na iwanan namin dito is very much more than enough to finish off who were able to get away.
Soldiers of the 1st Infantry Battalion were both happy and sad as they leave Marawi City. They say they are happy since they can finally be with their families, but sad as well since they will leave behind their comrades who are still battling the remaining terrorists.
Sa 30 years ko sa serbisyo, hindi ko talaga akalain na ganito kahirap. Yung pakiramdam namin dito sa Marawi, unang dating po namin, sir, talagang may nervyos dahil gera po ang pupunta namin. Pero ito na po, makakauwi po kami ng buhay dito sa Marawi at makakabalik na po kami sa pamilya po namin.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Marawi City.
The brave soldiers who fought in Marawi are now home and were greeted with a hero's welcome that signals a turn of a new leaf for them. Monokson is in Taguig City to tell us why live. Go ahead, Mon.
Yes, Diego, the long wait is over. Finally, the members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines who fought in Marawi City are home. Relatives and members of the families of the gallant soldiers were all teary-eyed upon seeing their loved ones getting off the plane one by one. The families of soldiers arrived early at the Villamor Air Base to welcome the first batch of soldiers coming home from Marawi. Some of the children brought small Philippine flags while their parents patiently wait. The airplane that carried more than 50 soldiers arrived at past 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The families of the soldiers were grateful that their loved ones finally arrived home safely from the war.
Masaya po kami kasi nakarating na sila ng ligtas.
So anong plano nyo ngayon na nakauwi na siya dito?
Babakasyon sana, bigyan sila ng bakasyon.
The second batch of soldiers arrived at 7 in the evening and headed straight here at the grandstand of the Philippine Army headquarters. The AFP will give a hero's welcome to honor the soldiers who fought for the country in fighting the terrorists in Marawi. All the soldiers will give a hero's, the AFP will give a hero's welcome to honor the soldiers, and these are the soldiers who are members of the 1st Infantry Battalion of the 2nd Infantry Division, headed by Major General Rodrigo Duterte. The hero's welcome will be led by Army Chief Lieutenant General Joselito Rolando Bautista. Diego, the group is reportedly the one who conducted the operation that killed Omar Maute and Isnilon Hapilon in Marawi City. And that's the latest here in Taguig City. Back to you.
Thank you for that report, Monokson, reporting live from Taguig City. The military says the crisis in Marawi City is now over. Lea Ilagan will tell us why.
Yun na lang ang ginagawa natin. Basically, habulin sila specifically, mailigtas natin yung mga hostages na pinagbarin nila magpahanggang ngayon.
Armed Forces of the Philippines Public Affairs Office Chief Colonel Edgard Arevalo is confident that the hostilities in Marawi City has ended now, that all the leaders of the Maute terror group have already died, and they no longer have organizational structure. War can be considered over. He adds that the remaining Maute fighters holed up in the city are now in hiding, while the others have mixed in with the rescued hostages. Sir, pwedeng sabihin na the war is over na sa Marawi?
Yes, we can say that the crisis in Marawi is over.
Meanwhile, the military has yet to find the area where the remains of Malaysian terrorist Dr. Mahmoud Ahmad is buried. The former university lecturer was the allegedly financier of the Maute terror group. According to AFP Chief of Staff General Eduardo Año, the military can find the remains of Ahmad once they locate the person who buried him.
We have to find the right people that buried him. There is an ongoing assault now. Later on, we are able to capture some Maute fighters. Maaaring ito yung pwedeng mag-reveal kung saan inilibing si Dr. Mahmoud.
Año also notes they are now conducting assessment of the rescued hostages, as many Maute fighters have mixed in with them to avoid being captured by the military. Lea Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
Despite the military has almost surrounded the area where they are holed up, the remaining members of the ISIS-inspired Maute terror group in Marawi City refused to surrender, according to the AFP. And here is why from Victor Cosare.
Based on the military's estimate, more or less 20 to 30 members of the Maute terror group are holed up in Marawi City. There are lesser exchanges of fire in the city. Despite this, the military says the terrorists have yet to raise a white flag.
Basically, survival on their part. Ayaw nilang pahuli ng buhay. They want to escape from the main battle area. So they're still dangerous.
According to Armed Forces of the Philippines, Western Mindanao Command Chief Lieutenant General Carlito Galvez, the group has with them 2 foreign terrorists.
Ang foreign terrorists po, tinitingnan po natin, meron pa tayong ina-account na 2, si Ibno Kayim at saka si Amin Bako.
The military is also monitoring a certain Abu Dar and his group, who in the past has attempted to reinforce the Maute ISIS terrorist group fighting here in Marawi City. Meanwhile, government troops were able to rescue 21 individuals from the main battle area. 10 of them are confirmed hostages of the terrorists. However, the 11 others still have to undergo validation to determine if they have been hostages, relatives of the terrorists, or members of the ISIS-inspired terror group. With this, the military believes the enemy is now holding only 3 to 4 hostages. Meanwhile, the AFP notes one of the lessons it learned from the Marawi crisis is the need to master for urban warfare in battling terrorism.
Urban fighting is an infantry task, is an infantry job. So that when we go back to our respective units, so dapat talaga we flex our muscle and we train hard for this kind of warfare for the next generations. Ito yung haharapin nating laban dito sa ating bansa.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Marawi City.
Meanwhile, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP, will submit DNA samples of Abu Sayyaf leader Isnilon Hapilon and Omar Maute to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI, in the United States. AFP Public Affairs Office Chief Marine Colonel Edgar Arevalo says even before Hapilon and Maute were buried in accordance with Muslim rites, authorities have already taken DNA samples from their remains. The government immediately sent the samples to the United States to verify their identities. Arevalo says the FBI gave no time frame as to when the results of the test will come out. The DNA result is one of the conditions set before the informants could get their reward for giving information about the whereabouts of Omar Maute and Isnilon Hapilon.
Kung tayo sa FBI, sa ibang bansa, tungkol sa DNA testing kasi sila rin ang capability. But lalong-lalo na kung ang reward ay nanggagaling sa bansang Amerika. So yung DNA testing sila rin ang tumutulong sa atin. Bigyan lang natin yung mga samples.
President Rodrigo Duterte says martial law will remain until the last terrorist is taken out of the war zone. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Please do not tempt me to do it. But when the time came, I declared martial law. And everybody was asking, when will it stop? It will not stop until the last terrorist is taken out.
This was the decision of President Rodrigo Duterte to answer questions regarding the lifting of martial law in Mindanao now that the three terrorist leaders Isnilon Hapilon, Omar Maute, and Malaysian Mahmud Ahmad were already neutralized. The chief executive said martial law will remain in Mindanao unless the region is cleared of terrorists. Meanwhile, he warns of retaliations from the supporters of the terrorist group.
Then I would give you the same maybe advice that as the military has been mounting it and the police several times, that be careful of retaliation. We know and I know that it's coming, where I really do not know. But somehow they would do it in places where the dominant tribes.
Malacanang said the president will confer with the members of his cabinet on the issue of martial law.
The President is duty-bound not to compromise public safety. The Commander-in-Chief, however, will confer with the members of his Cabinet Security, Justice, and Peace Cluster, particularly the Secretary of National Defense, who is the designated martial law administrator, and the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, who is the designated martial law implementer on the necessary action to be taken.
AFP said their operations continue in running after big terrorist groups in Mindanao which pled allegiance to ISIS, such as Ansar al-Khilafa Philippines or AKP, Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters or BIFF, and Abu Sayyaf Group or ASG.
Kaya nga po kami, matapos nitong assessment na to, nakikita natin, kinakailangan patuloy pa rin nating hirapang buwagin itong mga natitira pa nilang mga grupo at mga organisasyon, mga networks nila. Kasi habang nananatili yan, yung banta na yan ay may iwan.
AFP also continues to gather information about another high-value target, Amin Bako, a Malaysian bomb maker and alleged member of the terrorist group Jemaah Islamiyah. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, targets to construct 20,000 additional cell sites across the country before the end of the term of President Rodrigo Duterte in 2022. Here's why from Joanne Nano.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, believes building many cell sites is the solution to the country's problem of having slow internet connection and other telecommunication issues. Based on the estimates of DICT, there are only 20,000 cell sites in the country. This is a far cry from the many number of cell sites in other countries such as Vietnam, which is 70,000. In fact, the Philippines' neighbor has an advanced telecommunication system and internet connection. To address the slow internet in the country, the DICT plans to construct an additional 20,000 cell sites. In an interview on the program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon, DICT officer in charge Undersecretary Eliseo Rio Jr. says the government is now coordinating with private companies regarding the construction of more cell sites in the country.
Ano ho ang target ninyo ngayon? Gaano karami po ang cell sites na nasa plano po natin na ang gobyerno po ang magtatayo?
Okay. Ngayon ho, nagkakaroon na kami ng negosasyon for a PPP of a cell site tower provider ho, no?
So public-private partnership po ito.
So isang pribadong kumpanya, yung sila ho ang co-construct ng mga
towers.
Mga towers. Sila rin ho ang magpaparenta sa mga telcos, no? And sila ho doon parang doon sila kukuha ng kanilang revenue or ROI, no? Ngayon kung kulang mo yan, dito ho papasok ng konti para mag-i-invest ng gobyerno ng para lang ho yung ROI nila ay hindi ganong kasi wala hong pribadong na papasok sa isang business na hindi naman sila kikita.
The government targets to finish the construction of the additional cell sites until the year 2020.
So far ngayon ho, ano ang target natin ng gobyerno na i-put up na cell sites na ang gobyerno ang gagastos?
Okay ho. Yung it is now in our 2018 budget na itong mga common towers are mga, I think we got 1.7 billion, no?
So 1.7 billion budget po, ito yung dedicated for
hindi ho, part lang
lahat
muna.
na to.
Lahat mo kasi marami yung gagawin yung backbone, yung mga last mile.
Correct.
So part lang noon yung tinatawag nating mga towers.
The government also plans to encourage more foreign and local players to join the industry to improve the quality of internet service and telecommunication system in the country in accordance with the directive of President Rodrigo Duterte. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology allays public fears about the alleged possibility that people's personal information might get stolen once the proposed national identification bill becomes a law. Here's why from Grace Kasi.
Makabayan bloc lawmakers are the main oppositors to the passage of the proposed Filipino identification system or the single national ID. One of their major concerns is the possibility that government would have a way to easily access the private information of all Filipinos.
Police state ang kalalabasan natin dito. No? So, may invasion ng right to privacy, tapos napakalaki ng banta na gamitin ito para kontrolin, subaybayan, tiktikan at limitahan ang karapatan ng mga mamamayan.
However, Information and Communications Technology Officer in Charge Undersecretary Eliseo Rio Jr. assures that personal information of the public will remain confidential under the national ID system.
Lahat ng mga agency nito, mayroong sakop sila ng yung ating privacy laws, no? Na hindi sila makapagbigay kung walang consent noong individual na yung data. Kaya nga yung COMELEC nagkaroon kaso sila dahil about 50 million personal data na nakalabas, no? But anyway, yun ang aming tinitingnan talaga at pinoprotektahan.
Rio also assures the public that the government will protect every personal data to avoid it being hacked and used in cybercrimes like identity theft.
Talagang dahil sinusubaybayan namin yan. Yung identity theft yan, lalo yan. So, hindi mangyayari yan with this system. No, sisiguraduhin muna na ikaw yon, no, bago ka bigyan ng hinihiling mo. Dito nga sa aming tinatawag na virtual national ID na yung mga common, pag may pumupunta ng isang tao, for example, sa online, sila kunyari ito, no? Gusto kong kumuha ng NBI clearance, no? Pupunta yan sa NBI. Ngayon, magkakaroon ng questions yung NBI na dapat sagutin mo. Sino ang pangalan ng anong maiden name ng mother mo, mga ganyan. Kung hindi mo sagot, hindi ka entertain.
Under the said proposal, the national ID will contain the personal information of the card holder. It will also have a smart chip and database that contain information such as Philippine passport number, biometrics, voters and tax identification numbers, SSS, PhilHealth, GSIS, PRC, Pag-ibig, and driver's license number. About 100 countries have their own national ID policies, and implementing such a policy is among the priorities of the Duterte administration. For now, the government awaits the version of the Senate on the said proposed law. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority will impose a new traffic scheme along Commonwealth Avenue. Rajela Dora tells us why.
Commonwealth Avenue is one of the busiest thoroughfares in Metro Manila. Traffic congestion is normal, especially during rush hour. The situation has even become worse with the construction of MRT Line 7 because motorists are given only 10 lanes from the previous 12. Drivers load and offload passengers just anywhere along the highway that adds to the already unruly traffic. These problems prompted the MMDA to impose a new traffic scheme such as the no-stopping scheme along Commonwealth Avenue. Beginning tomorrow, public utility vehicles are no longer allowed to load and unload passengers in between Ilang-Ilang Street near Sandigan Bayan and Batasan IBP Road. They must reach Batasan IBP Road to unload and load passengers. Barriers will also be installed in designated areas for loading and unloading passengers. Meanwhile, other 4 lanes will be allotted for private-owned vehicles.
Lumala yung sitwasyon natin dito gawa ng ongoing na construction. Kaya nga inuuna natin ito. Hopefully may lay down natin yung mga barriers. Kung hindi man ngayon, bukas by tomorrow morning nandyan na. And then obserbahan natin kung ano yung epekto niyan.
The MMDA meanwhile has asked motorists and commuters to extend their patience until the construction of MRT Line 7 is completed. Rajela Dora, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Transportation, or DOTr, has issued a notice to terminate the contract it has with MRT maintenance provider the Busan Universal Rails Incorporated, or BURI. Here's why from Joanano.
It is no longer unusual for passengers of MRT Line 3 to experience glitches. One of the causes of the glitch is the technical problem of the trains. That's why passengers are sometimes forced to descend the train amid their travel. Due to such repeated incidents, the Department of Transportation, or DOTr, files notice order to the maintenance provider of MRT, the Busan Universal Rails Incorporated, or BURI, to terminate their contract. The Department of Transportation, or DOTr, made the decision to nullify the contract it has with BURI due to its failure to improve the condition of MRT trains. DOTr also claims BURI also fails to comply with the requirements stated in the contract regarding the availability of trains, as well as having a proper plan in the purchase and storage of the train system's needed spare parts. This, the agency says, prompted the frequent limited operations of trains. The maintenance contract of BURI with the DOTr states that the number of trains operating daily should be 18 to 20 during peak hours, while 15 during off-peak hours. However, the DOTr notes BURI could not provide the needed number of trains. BURI, on the other hand, says the allegations of the DOTr have no basis. The company says they should not be blamed for all the glitches happening in the MRT.
Hindi natin masasabi na kami yung may kasalanan, maintenance provider. Kasi yung glitches na yan, bago pa kami pumasok, nandyan na yan.
It adds that glitches could not be avoided since the trains are already old and the rails are already having problems.
Our responsibility is to fix the glitches when they occur and not to make them disappear. Even during the first year of the operation of the MRT, under the first maintenance provider, ang average na was 4 glitches a day average. No? So halos pareho rin nung ngayon. Nagtataka nga kami ngayon why we are being hit for something that has occurred constantly over the years from the start of the MRT.
The Transportation Department will give BURI 7 days to answer the notice to terminate their contract. Afterwards, DOTr Secretary Arthur Tugade will decide within 10 days on whether or not to nullify the contract the MRT has with BURI. Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Makati City.
Next on Y News. The Manila Police District sets to place the laptop of Hazing victim Horacio Acho Castillo III under forensic investigation.
3 Russian vessels arrived today for a 5-day visit to the Philippines.
And Rizal's bet gets the most views among the second batch of Wishfuls in Wish 1075's search for online singing sensation.
Y News will be right back. Manila Police District is set to place the laptop of Hazing victim Horacio Acho Castillo III under forensic investigation. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
Horacio Castillo II and his wife Carmina went to the Manila Police District Homicide Section at around 1 this afternoon. They handed over the laptop of their son Acho to the police, hoping that the authorities will be able to gather additional evidence that will help in the immediate attainment of justice for their slain son.
Pina-receive lang yun. Gusto lang makita ng police, baka may mga leads or may mga names na nandun. Gusto lang nila makita.
The MPD, on the other hand, assures that they are doing their best to pursue and bring to justice those involved in the crime.
That the Manila Police District did not stop from collecting and gathering evidence against all those possible persons of interest and suspect.
Meanwhile, Police Superintendent Erwin Margarejo says they are already preparing the obstruction of justice case against the members of the Aegis Juris Fraternity seen in the group's chat thread that was also presented in the last Senate hearing.
We are contemplating to file the necessary charges against them. For obstruction of justice, it is very obvious doon sa messenger thread that they tried to cover up the ongoing investigation.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Self-confessed drug lord Kerwin Espinosa pleaded not guilty to illegal drug trading case before the Manila Regional Trial Court. Rodrigo Mendoza tells us why.
Self-confessed drug lord Kerwin Espinosa entered a not guilty plea during his arraignment today for illegal drug trading. The case stemmed from the seizure of over 200 grams of shabu from 5 of his men after a buy-bust operation in the vicinity of the house of Espinosa's in Barangay Binolho, Albuera, Leyte in July last year. But Kerwin insisted he should not be charged because he was abroad when the operation was conducted.
When they conduct an operation, wala ako doon. Tapos dinamay nila ako sa kaso.
Si Kerwin nasa labas ng bansa. Bakit siya isali? Diba? Tapos sasabihin nila na si Kerwin ang nag-utos.
Judge Silvino Pampilo Jr. of the Manila RTC Branch 26 granted Kerwin's request to hold hearings exclusively for his case due to security concerns. He is currently under the Witness Protection Program for his testimony against Senator Laila de Lima.
We're asking na siya lang talaga mag-isa mag-hearing sa isang araw.
The pre-trial is set on November 10 and the trial will start December 8.
Weekly ang hearing. Weekly. Prioritize siya.
Judge Pampilo looks to decide the case by May next year due to the continuous trial system being implemented by the Supreme Court. Rodrigo Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Despite the President's order to remove from the PNP the conduct of all anti-illegal drugs operations in the country, the Philippine National Police or PNP continues to purchase new equipment for its men. Rajel Adora will tell us why.
Philippine National Police or PNP Chief Ronald De La Rosa visited Davao City yesterday to attend the relaunching of the Motorist Assistance Program of a company. During the event, De La Rosa noted that although the police no longer have the obligation to conduct anti-illegal drugs operation in the country, the PNP will push through with its plan to purchase more equipment for their anti-crime operations. Among the equipment the PNP plans to purchase are body cameras for cops.
Kasama yan sa ating congressional insertion budget. Kasama yung body cameras. Malaking halaga yun.
The PNP also purchased several air assets which are expected to arrive by the end of the year.
Meron na kaming na-procure to be delivered hopefully by December. Isang twin engine helicopter na ako? Bell helicopter na hindi ko exact na ako na, basta hundreds of millions of pesos yun. Hindi ko alam kung anong exact value. Pero so meron na rin kaming i-order ng mga single engine. Basta makita nyo, darating yan. Nandyan yung pera, ibibili talaga yan.
De La Rosa says the PNP is now focused on resolving cases involving riding in tandem criminals and the continuous cleansing program of the police.
malintikan sila ngayon. Yan, tututukan namin yan. Kailangan wala na mangyaring ganyan. At yung mga previous cases like that, kailangan maimbestigahan at ma-resolve yung mga kaso na yan.
Rodrigo Duterte, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is still optimistic that the national government can attain its target of economic growth of 6.5 to 7.5% for this year. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
The industry and agriculture sector still shows strong performance, which sustains solid growth in the country's economy. Based on the report of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the national government can achieve its target of 6.5 to 7.5% gross domestic product growth for 2017.
GDP grew at a moderate pace during the second quarter. And we can see that at 6.4% average GDP growth for the first half of the year, this continues to be above the long-run average of about 5.1%.
Meanwhile, the inflation rate remains at 3.1% for the third quarter of 2017. This means there had been no major increase in the prices of rice, meat, fruits, and vegetables.
Inflation has been steady in the third quarter, with average inflation remaining firmly within the national government's target range of 2 to 4%, at 3.1% during the quarter.
The BSP adds that they don't see any sizable increase in the prices on basic commodities this coming months, despite the possible surge in the prices of oil products in the world market. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Philippine National Police and other government agencies have deployed more than 9,000 personnel in Clark, Pampanga in line with the conduct of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit. Grace Casin tells us why.
In preparation for the upcoming 11th ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting next week, the Task Force Clark ASEAN 2017, composed of cops from the PNP Region 3, soldiers, and personnel from other government agencies like the Departments of Interior and Local Government, Health and Social Welfare and Development, were deployed to Clarkfield, Pampanga. Among the areas they will strictly monitor and guard against lawless elements are the Clark International Airport, the hotels where the delegates are expected to stay, and the venue of their meetings. The PNP calls on public to cooperate with the security measures authorities will enforce within and around Clark. Although the entire Clark will remain open to the public during the big event, the police will set up checkpoints at all of its gates.
There will be security inspections in all gates going inside Clark. So there will be vehicle inspection in some areas. There will be under vehicle inspection in some areas also. Then we will be using K9 and EDDs and EOD personnel in some areas and gates.
Authorities will also implement a rerouting scheme on roads near the venue of the ASEAN meetings. The police say although it receives no threats, it will remain on high alert.
As of now, when it comes to the threat ng terrorism, we have not received any direct threat to the activity, but of course we are preparing more than that, and we have designed some scenarios in relation to those threats.
The PNP hopes that the conduct of the ASEAN Summit in the province will become orderly and peaceful. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, 3 Russian vessels have arrived in the country this morning. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines this morning hosted the arrival ceremonies for the 3 Russian vessels at the Manila South Harbor. The Russian destroyers named Admiral Pentelyev 548 and Admiral Vinogradov 544 are large anti-submarine ships, while the Boris Butoma is a large sea tanker of the Pacific Fleet. The vessels will be in the country for 5 days as part of the handing over of special military equipment as aid from Russia to the Philippines.
This will further contribute to promote peace and stability through naval diplomacy and camaraderie. Therefore, we are looking forward to further expand our bilateral relationship. Again, welcome to the Philippines, sir.
Thank you very much.
Together with the arrival of the Russian vessels is the official visit of Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu to the Philippines as one of the delegates in the 4th ASEAN Defense Minister Meeting Plus. One of the Russian dignitaries who arrived in the country says the meeting of the Navy personnel of the two countries and the convention of ASEAN defense ministers in the Philippines have already created a mark in history.
Это будет первый в истории визит главы оборонного ведомства Российской Федерации на Филиппины. Мы ожидаем работу министра обороны Российской Федерации. Также здесь 25 октября текущего года.
Commodore Francisco Gabuda of the Armed Forces of the Philippines says the visit of the Russian navies in the country is a manifestation of the strong solidarity of Russia in the Philippines.
The arrival of the Russian Navy counterpart signified the continuous effort to further strengthen the ties between the governments and the navies. It also fortifies the Philippine Navy's firm commitment of maintaining good relationship with other foreign navies.
Aside from the handover of military equipment, there will also be a confidence-building activities, goodwill games, send-off ceremony with customary passing exercise or PASEX between the Philippine and Russian navies in the following days. 2 more Russian vessels are expected to arrive at the port of Subic in Olongapo City tomorrow. These are the Nikolai Vilkov 081, a large landing ship, and the Foti Krylov, a rescue tug for the unloading of the donated military equipment. The 2 vessels are expected to stay in Olongapo City until October 25. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The list of ASAP Year 6 Grand Finalists will finally be completed on Sunday. Robbie De Guzman tells us why.
The Song of Praise or ASAP October Monthly Finals will be held this coming Sunday. This is the last monthly finals for the season. This means that the winner of the month will complete the list of ASAP Year 6 Grand Finalists. October entries include Sisidlan, Beside Your Heart, and Makalugod Sa'yo. Among the songs of praise we will hear at the ASAP Grand Finals night are Gabundok Man by May Alona Troge, Sumasamba Sa'yo by Joy Nardizan, Carry On by Noni Ramos, P.A. Atienza, and Nino Cristobal. Ikaw ang Aking Diyos by Lorna Petrasanta. Sapat na ba by Emmanuel Lipio Jr. Dahil Sa'yo by Carlo David. Wala Kang Katulad by Raymil Ananya. Ikaw Panginoon by Jocelyn Canlas and Jonathan Bobbies. If You Believe by Gio Levy. You're All I Need by Jess and May Mirador.
Cause I know that you're with me, you're always here by my side.
And Hallelujah to the One by Zion Aquino. ASAP Grand Finals will be held at the Smart Araneta Coliseum on November 13. Robbie De Guzman, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
And Wishcovery Wishful from Rizal tops in the power viewing of the second batch of Wishfuls this second round. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
Among the second batch of wishfuls, the performance of Luis and Manuel of Taytay Rizal received the most number of views. As of 12 noon today, the music student got 32,212 views. Carmela Ariola of Batangas follows with 30,399 views.
I just forget. You won't give me what I can't bear. Take me out of the dark, my love.
Hazel Bartolome of Cavite's performance got 24,428 views.
How did you know I needed someone like you in my life? That there's an empty space in my heart.
And 14,428 views for Zikaya J. Miller of Cebu City. This will comprise the 30% of their final score, while the 70% will come from the resident reactors. Watch the Wishcovery episode tomorrow 9 p.m. to know who among these wishfuls will advance to the next round. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, heavy floods and landslides affect several areas in Dumaguete and Negros Oriental due to Typhoon Paulo. Torrential rains caused Samlan and Bayoos rivers to burst their banks, flooding several barangays. The local government of Dumaguete already evacuated residents living near the river banks to safety. Meanwhile, classes in all levels in Negros Oriental have already been suspended. Some parts of the province experience intermittent supply of electricity. Pag-asa advises residents in flood-prone and landslide-prone areas to take extra caution as the typhoon persists.
Coming up on Y News. California prepares for the big one with the annual Great Shakeout Earthquake Drill.
A Spanish paraglider flies like bird with a flock of starlings in Denmark.
And explore the country's ocean treasures with the Dive Philippines as it features thresher sharks in Malapascua, Cebu.
More from Y News after this break. Did you know that it is only in the Philippines where thresher sharks are seen every day? Brian Evangelista will tell us why.
Come and join our journey down into the reefs and tides. Come and sing beneath the waves, the wonders of this life.
If you have been amazed of the beauty of the giant manta ray in the Bicol region, you're in a big treat for another wonder of creation that can be seen every day only in the Philippine seas. This is the special feature of the Dive Philippines, the treasure sharks of Malapascua, Cebu. From Cebu City, our UNTV dive team traveled for 4 hours to Maya Port, where we took a boat to Malapascua. Upon arriving in the island, our group was greeted by the warm Filipino hospitality of the staff of the resort that accommodated us. At 5 in the morning the following day, our dive team headed to Monad Shoal, the place where treasure sharks are seen every day.
Lovely creature, big eyes. As I mentioned before, the treasure sharks are my favorite kind of shark. It was really lovely to see. We just saw one, but that's good enough. That's good enough because the sensation is great. So stylish creatures. Big eyes, long, slim tail.
Aside from the treasure sharks, our group saw another species of sharks in the underwater cave of Gato Island, also in Malapascua. All these wonderful creatures are featured in tomorrow's episode of The Dive Philippines at 5:30 in the afternoon before the season premiere of the documentary show Spotlight. Brian Evangelista, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Before we end, of course, happy weekend.
Yes, happy weekend.
To all of us.
It was a long week.
It was a long week, and I hope we get better next week with our voices.
Yes.
And I hope Darlene doesn't come in with a cough and infects us all.
Wow.
Wow. Those are the reasons behind the news, October 20, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Why News.